We now continue with the gospel lesson from Matthew. After a long time, the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. Then the one who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents, saying, "Master, you handed over to me 5 talents. See, I made 5 more talents." His master said to him, "Well done, good and trustworthy slave. You have been trustworthy in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master." And the one with 2 talents came forward, saying, "Master, you handed over to me 2 talents. See, I have made 2 more talents." His master said to him, "Well done, good and trustworthy slave. You have been trustworthy in a few things, and I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master." Then the one who had received the 1 talent also came forward, saying, "Master, I knew that you were a harsh man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you did not scatter seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here, you have what is yours." But his master replied, "You wicked and lazy slave, you knew, did you, that I reap where I do not sow and gather where I did not scatter? Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and on my return I would have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to the one with 10 talents. For to all those who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But for those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away." This is the word of God. All right, good morning. First, Brendan, I'm glad that the finance team wore the same uniform. You got the memo, great. This is Laity Sunday, and so you're stuck with me. I know I have your love and support. In fact, just this week, Chris indicated that he didn't want to be near the pulpit when the lightning struck. So Chris, now's the time to slide away. In truth, I love to sing with the choir. The gift of song and music is one that God gave to me, to my choir mates, to the shepherds of sound, and I'm sure to many of you. I enjoy coming on Thursday nights to practice, but also for the fellowship and for a bit of a recharge. We in turn enjoy sharing that gift with you, and we hope that in some way it might reach you and move you. That's my recruitment pitch. So if anyone has a little bit of musical gift, come see me afterwards, we'll get you hooked up. While I try to use my gifts well, I have plenty of examples of falling short of that and wasting opportunities. And I'm briefly going to recount 2 of them. In my junior year of high school, the school choir sang Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire." Remember the one with about 1 million words? Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Johnny Ray, and so on. So some friends and I each had a solo. We had the verses, and the choir would come in and sing the chorus. So on the day of the big concert, we had a dress rehearsal in school, the school assembly. All my friends are there. And when it came time for my verse at the school concert, about 3 words in, I completely lost my train of thought. Had no idea the words. Oh, I see laughing. Everyone laughed. I stopped the music, walked down to the front row, stopped the piano, grabbed the music, came back up, started everyone up again, and we sang. And it went okay. Kind of embarrassing, but here I am telling you about it now. Wait, there's more. Another time at our former church in New York, we were at a Christmas time service and we were doing a ton of music. At that church, there was a choir loft that sat in the back. The choir sat up there. It was packed. We had brass music. Angel and Sarah, our eldest, were playing with the instruments and the brass, and we were doing lots of music. In one piece, the music is ramping up, and the brass cut away, and after a few beats of silence, and I could never remember exactly how many beats, the choir was supposed to come in loudly, fortissimo to my choir folks, on the word joy. And so when it came time for joy, we came in. Except I came in a beat early. Just me. Joy! Super loud. Angel and Sarah loved it. It's one of their favorite times of me being in the choir. My former choir knows that as a Hartle solo. So it's a one-beat solo, it's fortissimo, and it's wrong. So needless to say, I failed to deliver. I squandered those opportunities, and at least we can look back at them with a smile. We all have experiences of failing to deliver, or following through, or letting doubt or hesitation stop us from committing. Perhaps at work, you might have been offered a promotion and turned it down, thinking, you know what, I'm not ready or I'm not qualified. And that decision can lead to feelings of regret as you watched others advance in their careers. Maybe in a team meeting, you had an opportunity to speak up and give an idea that you thought could really help a project out. Later, when you see that project struggle and realize your input could have made a difference, you have some regret. Maybe you thought about volunteering for a community project, but decided that others were more skilled and qualified, and so you sat that one out. Sometimes these failures are due to fears that we aren't good enough, fears of criticism, fears of judgment from others. Sometimes these experiences can repeat themselves and become patterns. If so, we might start to organize our lives around mitigating them, and this can lead to a reluctance to commit to anything or to self-isolation. It's not uncommon, but it can make our lives smaller in a really impactful way. We might miss out on great opportunities, be it personal, professional, or spiritual. It certainly can limit our social connections, and it also will stunt our development of new skills. Some of these fears are based on a scarcity mindset. Self-isolation and a scarcity mindset can create a tunnel effect where we start to focus only on our perceived deficiencies, wants, and immediate needs. When we do this, it can prevent us from seeing the bigger picture and recognizing the abundant opportunities that exist all around us. Today's message invites us to move from a fear-based scarcity mindset to one of abundance, a mindset of trust in God's grace and love. John Wesley's sermon on the use of money begins with perhaps a surprising instruction of gain all you can. Wesley encourages honest and diligent work to earn money, all while doing no harm. He moves on from there to say, save all you can. This isn't about hoarding wealth, but rather it encourages living simply and avoiding unnecessary expenses. Finally, give all you can. After providing for basic needs, Wesley urges giving away all surplus for God's purposes and to help others. These are hard tenets to live up to, and I fall short, and I know that I can do better. Let's use the parable of the talents to explore this a little bit further and really get into gain all you can. Recall from our gospel reading in Matthew, the story is about a master preparing to go on a journey. He calls 3 servants and entrusts property to them. 5, 2, and 1 talents are handed out, each according to his own ability. For a long time when hearing this parable, I thought of a talent like a coin. A talent was no small amount of money. In fact, 1 talent equals 6,000 denarii, which are Roman coins. 1 denarii was roughly equal to 1 day's wages for a laborer. Thus, 1 talent equals about 16 years of wages for a laborer. This is no small amount of money that these slaves were entrusted with. Now back to our story. When the master returns, the first 2 servants have successfully invested or traded their talents and doubled their original offerings. Each were praised, "Well done, good and faithful servant." The 3rd servant is fearful of his harsh master. Perhaps he's fearful of repeating past failures. We can gather this because he was only entrusted with 1 talent to begin with, and it was according to his own abilities. Because of this fear, he hides the money in the ground and it has no chance to grow. The master rebukes him, calling him wicked and lazy. Jesus frequently used parables while teaching. Often there are many lessons to be learned from a seemingly simple story. What lesson are we to take from this? We can assume that we are like the servants and that we have been entrusted with many gifts from God. Our God, though, is not a harsh master. Our God is a loving and merciful Father. So the analogy only goes so far. So let's continue. I'm sorry. The third servant's fear led to inaction and a potentially small view. He squandered his gifts and he was rebuked. His outlook may have been one of scarcity rather than abundance. Now, a scarcity mindset believes that resources are limited and running out. It tends to focus on perceived deficiencies and what is missing, and it often leads to a mindset of fear. In contrast, an abundance mindset believes that there are ample opportunities and resources for everyone. It focuses on possibilities, and it promotes gratitude. Had the third servant had a mindset of abundance, he too may have been rewarded. From a religious perspective, the contrast between a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset has significant spiritual implications. Let's think about faith and risk-taking. An abundance mindset encourages stepping out and trusting in God's provision. A scarcity mindset may lead to fear-based decisions and missed opportunities. With gratitude, an abundance mindset fosters thankfulness for God's blessings, both big and small, while a scarcity mindset focuses on what's lacking and can often lead to discontentment. In community, an abundance mindset promotes sharing and supporting others in the faith community, while a scarcity mindset can lead to competition or envy even within the church. And finally, with mission and outreach, with an abundance mindset, it motivates bold outreach, believing God will provide resources for his missions. A scarcity mindset may hinder those outreach efforts due to the fear of insufficient resources. In essence, an abundance mindset in a religious context aligns more closely with biblical teachings about God's character, provision, and the nature of his kingdom. It encourages believers to live with faith, generosity, and trust in God's unlimited resources and love. There are many examples in the Bible of an abundant mindset. Throughout Psalms, David expresses trust in God's abundant provision, even in times of trouble. Think of Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. In John, the boy with the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, he willingly gives those, and Jesus multiplies them to feed thousands. This is abundant mindset. Recognition of God's grace frees us from the pressure of trying to earn God's provision and can help promote an abundance mindset. We are undeserving of God's love, his favor, his kindness, but it's always there for us. What else are we taught in this parable? Well, certainly this is a message of stewardship and accountability. God entrusts resources with us, be it time or talents or treasures, and we are called to use them responsibly and productively. God expects us to actively use and develop gifts he has given to us rather than hide or neglect them. It encourages an eternal perspective. The Master's return symbolizes Christ's second coming, and this encourages us to live with an eternal perspective using the earthly gifts for God's purposes, not our own. Also, while the servants received different amounts, they all had equal opportunity to be faithful and dutiful with what they were given. The first 2 servants doubled their return. One brought back an extra 5, the other brought back an extra 2. The master focused on how the gifts were used rather than the specific amount they were returned. This teaches us not to compare ourselves to others, but to focus on being faithful with our gifts. Now, how do we use those gifts? Well, later, we didn't cover it in the gospel reading, but just after I stopped, God tells us what he wants us to do with those resources. The short version: feed the hungry, welcome the stranger, clothe the naked, care for the sick, visit the imprisoned. Those who increase the impact of what they've been given by using it to help others will inherit the kingdom, just as the servants who have been good and trustworthy in a few things will be put in charge of many and enter into the joy of their master. Sounds a lot to me like use your gifts to love your neighbor. How can we work to increase our resources so that we can make a bigger difference to the lives of the people around us? That is at the heart of Gain All You Can. God has blessed us with many gifts. We have lots of different gifts between us, and that's a good thing. What are your gifts, and how can you invest and grow them? The answer for you may be similar or completely different from me or the person that's sitting near you in the pews. Think about what God has entrusted to you in terms of time, talents, and treasures. When God entrusts something to us, gifts us, it shouldn't be hidden. How might you be hiding your gifts out of fear instead of using them out of trust and abundance? I'm sure most of us have times in or areas of our lives where we apply a mindset of scarcity. I certainly do. Today, I invite you to join me and take one move in a step towards a mindset, from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance, one step. And I'll tell you a personal example of how taking a step towards an abundance mindset impacted me. When Angel and I moved to New York following our time in State College, we joined a church, and we were members there for 16 years before coming here. At first, we attended weekly, but I was hesitant to do anything more. When church was over, I kind of drug Angel to the car and we got out of there. It wasn't that I was really fearful, but I was kind of uncomfortable with a bunch of people I didn't know. And someone on the missions team one day invited me to join a community build project. I said, I'm not really good with tools, and they persisted and got me to try. So I joined the project, I did some good, I made some friends, and I had an okay time. That one event itself wasn't particularly memorable, but it opened the door to relationships and community at church. Those relationships led to more engagement and a greater feeling of family at the church for me. It inspired connections for me. A short while later, Angel and I joined a Christmas caroling group. That led to someone asking me to join the choir. I did so and remembered how much I liked singing in a choir, and I've been in a church choir ever since. Something else happened to me. By becoming more involved and utilizing those gifts that God gave to me, my faith grew. I started attending Bible studies. My journey accelerated. I definitely got more than I gave. From our parable, for to all those who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. So a message to our ministry teams. Would I have eventually gotten more involved on my own? Maybe, probably. Did someone reaching out to me directly to join a small event speed up my journey? Definitely. Sometimes a small nudge can instigate that one step towards that abundance mindset. It can take courage to reach out and invite people in. There's also courage and bravery in asking for help. We all need help sometimes, be it a small task, a good listener or sounding board, a prayer for ourselves or a neighbor, a meal, or something else. The church is a family. We are a family. I think that you will get a lot more yeses if you have the courage to ask and invite someone in. Just like individuals, churches can act with a scarcity mindset. The line between abundance and scarcity isn't black and white. Preparing this message made me think about some of my past decisions with folks here as to whether I was using an abundance or a scarcity mindset. I'm still not sure of the answer. It's not always clear. Where are we letting fear of failure lead to resources being used to maintain the status quo or on self-preservation instead of taking a risk and using them to boldly be God's witness in the community? What would we do if we couldn't fail? What problems in the community could we solve? How can we best use the gifts that God has entrusted with us? I don't have all the answers, but I know that there are many here today that are willing to try. So I say this to you, let us all be transformed by God's grace. Let us all reflect on gifts God has entrusted to us, and let us all take a step towards an abundance mindset. May it be so. And now, if you would all join with me and sing, Lord, I Want to Be a Christian, hymn 402.
Lord, I want to be a Christian.